Alright, gang, for all you racing fans, when I was a kid in the 70s, I loved NASCAR. Not a fan of NASCAR now. I kind of fell out of favor in NASCAR around the Bill Elliott era. It just got too crappy. That's my opinion. Hate me if you want, but you're not going to change my mind. But these are souvenir cars that more or less was purchased at Athens Speedway when it was in existence. I don't recall when Athens Speedway started racing. All I can tell you is that through the 70s and 80s, as I got older, I didn't go as much because, when I turned 16, I had a black truck. And if I sit there and washed and waxed it to go out and pick up the girl with plans on spending the evening somewhere else, and everybody decided to go to the track, well, after the race was over, my black truck was red because of the dirt. Your clothes were dirty. I mean, it was like you were in the car racing. But, man, it was good times. Good times. But as a kid, this racetrack had that concession stand like all do. And they would have on the counter, the buckets of candy like gums and Fireballs. And then potato chips on those little stands with the clips on them. I don't know if they still have those around anymore. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I think they're just all on racks now. But if you recall, they have a stand about like a foot high, 2 foot high, and they had those little clips where they just slipped the bags of chips in there. And then they always had a box of these cars. Now, I don't recall what the cars cost back then. I remember having a bunch of them. Because they weren't. I'm sure they was pretty expensive for the time because it was a souvenir, a cheaply made souvenir nonetheless. But it was a great little toy. And what would happen is that all the kids that were my age, and I'm like 10 and under, maybe 12 and under, back when I was getting these. All of us would go get the cars, and then we would go and make a dirt track somewhere at close by the bleachers, and we would have our own little dirt track race. And most of the cars got destroyed and thrown on the trash or whatever. There are a few of these out there, and most of them I've ever seen was on eBay because I wanted one or two to just put on my shelf, but I couldn't pay. Like one car would be, one guy would be wanting $25 for it, one guy would be $14, and I just couldn't pull the trigger on them. And there's people that'll take them and customize the little cars by repainting them and putting, period correct to the car decals. And they looked good, but I wasn't gonna pay what they asked for those. But these, I got lucky. Man, did I get lucky! All right. I'm going to put this in here real quick because I've already got a video of the Procter & Gamble FunMate cars. But I was walking around. Unfortunately, I had to tell you a little backstory because I like to ramble and I don't stay on task. The little community that's a few counties away that had a ton of antique stores and all that. And there were people that would buy stuff and go throw it on in their booths and all that. And, super fair prices. One of the people that owned the strip mall area in that little community tripled the rent without notifying all the antique store, all the proprietors, that is. So most of them closed down. So they had these sales going on because, they didn't want to load up all this stuff and move it. So what caught my eye was the Torino, the FunMate Torino. Like I said, I have a video posted of these already. This came out of the launcher. And ironically, in that video I have another Torino that has damage to the post and a cracked windshield. That's kind of like not an uncommon thing. But this one has been painted on. I guess I was trying to make the car look more realistic. It's a keeper. Paid $1 for it. I don't know if the person didn't know what they had or what, and there was some kind of sticker on it, and it shouldn't have been. I don't know what it was. But after I picked that up, I turned and looked, and there was this can, like a bigger than an old metal coffee can, and these cars were in it. So I'm not thinking, well, every time I've seen them on eBay, you know, they're like starting at, without shipping, $15, and they go up pretty high. I got all these for $1 a piece. I don't know if the person didn't know what they were, didn't care, or just maybe they just had so many of them they weren't going. It wasn't going to hurt them to take a loss, because these all look like new old stock. And like as I said, they're pretty inexpensive, inexpensively built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blue one, which is my least favorite color, but it'll show up better. The cars only came with a molded in number. This one's 49, and you can see that, you know, all three, well, 3 of the 4 have white wheels, and the red one has green wheels. And then they all look like old Fords. They got flathead engines in them. It's probably not going to come up that well. And that's the bottom side. There are no maker marks on this, so I took one to a buddy of mine who wheels and deals in cars, toy cars, rare toy cars, primarily GM stuff. He's and I ain't talking Chevy, I'm talking like Olds and Olds and Buick. But he was on the same thought I am. I'm thinking this might have been made by Marks, but I'm not 100% sure. But again, I wish I had one where you could see the motor. But basically, it's just molded up bodies. The chassis with the engine is molded separately and just clipped into the front and the back, and the wheels are popped on. And like I said, these cars, they have no plate wear, none at all. And some of them, they don't even want to roll good because, you know, they just pop them together, and where the wheels hubs, they got the little spur things on them so that they don't want to roll right. But like I said, there's nothing on the wheel show these were ever played with. That's why I think these were all new old stock cars. I think this will come out. This one is number 85. I love orange. Boy, do I love orange. This one's number 67. And the Christmas car is also, as usual, red doesn't come out good for me, but it's also 67. Now, just to give you an idea of the size. Did that go out of focus? There it comes. There's your dollar bill. One whole dollar bill. U.S., not Confederate. Figured I better clarify that. Now, I have a friend that, huge NASCAR freak. And his bedroom, and we graduated high school together, my best man at his wedding. You go to his parents' house today, and his bedroom and his little brother's bedroom are time capsules. He still has a few that he never played with when he was a kid sitting on the shelf in his bedroom. I want to say he's got a black one. I know they came in all different colors, but they were all the same car. Now gang, if you collect NASCAR stuff, or you like old toy race cars and you don't have these, you really ought to look at getting one. And again, this is my opinion, and I'm not sure if these were sold across the country, if it was a, you know, I'm not a racing expert. All I can tell you is that when I was going around to the dirt tracks as a kid, all the dirt tracks in Georgia, and I want to say a lot of the East Coast, but I only went to South Carolina a couple times. They sold these cars. Now here's the sad thing. I always have to ramble. We had another friend whose family were big time farmers. They had acreage and acreage of cattle. They had chicken houses. They had the best house you could ever be in. But he had a sister who married a guy that was a big racer. He raced at Athens Speedway. Now it doesn't sound like much now, but back then he'd have $8,000 to $10,000 in his race car for Athens Speedway. They had 4 kids living in a 2-bedroom trailer. Couldn't afford tires for his wife's car, but he had the old trailer with the tire rack that was real high. He had 4 or 5 brand new racing tires. I guess they were slicks. No, I'm not sure. I'm not a dirt track expert, not a NASCAR expert. But it was just sad to see that all these people that were big time into the dirt track racing back then had more money tied up in their car and the equipment for their car than they did in their family or their house. And that still goes today. I mean, that's not something that's isolated, and that's not a southern thing. That's a national thing. Trust me. I have Yankee relatives, and they shock me. But gang, these are awesome. Awesome find. Really awesome find. Now my son wants to take one and paint it up like the people did on eBay and try to make it look a little more sportier. Now before I let this video in, if you've never seen the movie Wendell Scott, which is, I didn't when we went to see that in the theaters. I think it came out in 77, 78. I actually have the DVD somewhere. Richard Pryor, he played Wendell Scott. You had, oh my gosh, is his name Clevon? He played in Blazing Saddles as the sheriff. Funny guy, and he died, I won't say fairly young, but he was in the movie, and that gorgeous Pam Grier was in the movie. But if you are a NASCAR fan, you have not seen that movie, look into it. It's a really good movie. You know, story of a returning vet from World War II, black guy that his passion was cars and racing, and he, you know, became the first black NASCAR race driver. I think he was from Virginia, and a lot of the scenes were filmed in Athens. Now, ironically, my middle brother, before, you know, the economy got bad, well, I mean, even before that, when scrap metal prices went crazy, he showed me this guy's property, and in the tree line was a bunch of old race cars, this era. And he said that he was told a couple of them were some of the movie cars. Well, he took somebody else out there to show them. I mean, this guy, the guy's property had short school buses from the 50s and tanker trucks from the 40s and 50s, all kind of stuff. Well, somebody went in there and hauled it all off, you know, because people were stealing scrap metal because the metal prices went crazy. So the owner, my brother went and told the owner all that stuff was gone, and asked him what he did, why did he sell it, and he said he didn't sell it, somebody stole it. So if those cars were original movie cars, which they very well could be, they're gone. I mean, it's horrible. But these cars, gang, they're great. Wendell Scott, I cannot not recommend that movie for any racing fan, because it's a great movie. It tells the trials and tribulations, how you like that, trials and tribulations, of the first black NASCAR race driver. How, you know, what he had to go through, what he did, and I mean, he just took it, everything was thrown at him, and he was a good driver. And you watch the movie and you go and think, well, if he ever got sponsorship, what could he have done? And he never got, you know, because of his, you know, skin color, he never got sponsorship. And that's a tragedy. But gang, I'm going to end it there because my battery is fixing to die. So I will post these as soon as I can, and wish you all a great day.